debut of the RAAL Requisite CA1A a couple of years ago and the SR1B and SR1A, the technology where ribbon tweeters were used from loudspeakers into the headphone category was actually brought to fruition, allowing for full ribbon tweeter driver technology to be implemented in a headphone for the very first time that did not warrant a voice coil or magnets in front or behind the ribbons themselves, but only on the sides. The CA1A was a bit of a DIY project hardware-wise, and this product was actually very well received in our community. Very hard to drive, required a transformer to convert the voltage into current. The box itself did contain 16 ohm and 32 ohm, so it was pretty easy to use with a variety of headphone amplifiers such as the ones we have on the desk. But that was the beginning. Then they had their ear speakers. These hanging ribbon driver audio products were something else, a bit like the original AKG 1000 sort of category. Looked a bit like wing mirrors, sounded really interesting and very holographic. But now the technology has moved forward. With the release of the Magna and Immanis, something special has been actually put onto the table, and I have to thank RAAL for sending the Immanis in for review. This product is price tagged at $9,500. This is going to be competing in the summit tier category against Valkyria, against Susvara Unveiled, and against X9000 and headphones of this caliber. What has been the result? Let's discuss. Hi, I'm CoGCO. Welcome to ConvinceMeAudio. So let's do a quick accessory and hardware tour. With the RAAL Immanis, once you pay your cash, you get a beautiful flight case as you saw in the unboxing. It looks identical to the ConvinceMeAudio one, which I'm really happy about. The original before they changed it, and also the Odyssey one. But you got the beautiful engraving on that flight case, very fluffy inside. Protects the headphones perfectly, and also this O-type transformer that converts from voltage to current. This one is the 32 ohm variant, but there are two other variants available, 8 ohm and 16 ohm. The Immanis usually can be powered by 1.5 watts, 2.4 for the Magna. We will bring you that review very shortly too. On the unit itself, it's designed as a headphone stand. Unfortunately, this is not adjustable. I just wish it was a little bit taller. You got this beautiful soft top, leather material, and the headphones just sit on there very nicely. It makes a nice headphone stand. On the front, you have a male 4-pin XLR instead of female, so that you don't accidentally connect this headphone to a amplifier, to a standard headphone amplifier without the transformer, because obviously this is like a 0.75 ohm, and full specifications down the screen here. You will blow it up. This is why the transformer is always in the middle between transducers and the amplifier itself. On the rear of the unit, as you can see, you have a female XLR, which will be connected via this cable. This is their 8-star cable. I would say this is about 1.50 m or so, male to male. Very well designed. This is the sort of cable that you wished came with the HD800S. Not only does it not keep its shape, but it's very light, and despite the thickness and very well construction, I'm very happy with that cable as things stand right now. This is the headphone cable itself. Obviously, like I stated, a female 4-pin XLR so that you don't accidentally connect it to another amplifier. And at the other end, you've got this V-split, which is not very long. It's about that much, not too bad. And then we have a pair of 3.5 TRRS connection jacks. This connects to the headphones itself. Doesn't sort of keep its shape too much once you stretch it out like that, and it's pretty damn decent. Same again, this 8-star cable, Mark II, I think this one is, and quite honestly, not too bad at all. 1.80 m here, quite a decent length. This is the stand itself. As you can see, it's got some weight to it. You're not going to knock it over very easily. grippy bottom so it doesn't slide. Like this is a marble table and it's not sliding even though I'm pushing it. Probably roughly stands around 9 inches or so, and it does manage to support the headphone quite well. Talking of the headphones, let's talk about this. This is a far cry from the CA1A. This is a true luxury piece of equipment. For 9,500, you should be expecting this type of build quality. 610 grams, though I must admit it is quite a heavy headphone when you carry it like this, but it carries its weight very, very well, extraordinarily well distributed. Not only that, I've actually worn this for more than 8 hours a day and I've had no issues here at the office. You've got this beautiful gold-plated grille, this lambskin suede on the pads themselves. They rotate backwards and forwards. No tilting mechanism for forward and backwards, but I've had no issues this conforming to my head shape and face. No problems here as well. So the headband itself, this really thick plush leather with the writing up top here, as you can see. Very thin construction in regards to the frame itself. This aluminium design is very well designed, but it does look very delicate and it really isn't. It's quite strong. So this is the adjustment mechanism here. These twisty designs are what's holding the baffle like this. And then you have the 3.5 connectors, which are very, very clicky, the female ones here. So the headphone construction itself is absolutely immaculate. It's very, very comfortable despite its weight. 100 or so grams heavier than certain other headphones, half the weight of something like the Shangri-La Senior, and the Valkyria is considerably more heavy. No hotspots being created due to the size of the headband up top. Is extremely wide. It reminds me of the Warwickacoustics Aperio, in fact, for that sort of size. So that's not been an issue. This is an open back design, obviously, so there is no isolation. Bear that in mind. Let's talk about some of the specification of this unit. As we mentioned throughout the video, this is a ribbon driver headphone. This basically requires its own converter, as the stand indicates here, and you cannot connect this to any amplifier without this transformer box. Being able to buy this in 8, 16 or 32 ohm depending on what amplifier you have. So for example, if you're using the Riviera Levante, you might want to go for the 8 ohm. If you're using the WA33 JPS Elite, you probably go for the 32. And if you have something like what I have down there, it's the Redoctober XL, which has all the connectors for 8, 16, 32, over 100 ohms. So you've got no issues, whatever one you choose. It just depends on what system you have. You choose the right one. But predominantly, I believe the 32 ohm is the one that comes as standard, and the other ones are chosen by you. So, comfortable headphone. Very beautiful design. I have no complaints here, apart from the slight weight that I have found not to be too much of an issue with actual comfort. I have had lighter headphones be more uncomfortable. Weight distribution and the amount of padding makes a tremendous amount of difference. For example, Valkyria I can only wear for 45 minutes. Something like the HD800S, though much lighter, I can wear for less period of time due to the way the pads are on the top of the head. Very small surface area, creating hotspots. No such problems here whatsoever while it's been tested. And talking of testing, let's talk about the equipment that's been used with this Summit tier flagship headphone. For this review, seeing as it's a Summit tier headphone that genuinely sits where Shangri-La Senior sits, Valkyria sits, X9000 and Susvara Unveiled, as you can see on the desk, sits, we have pulled out all the stocks. So, due to the nature of the transducers and the performance of the headphones, I have set up 4 separate systems for you guys. Think of it as 4 separate reviews in one, because the Immanis sounds different on every single system you put it on. To start with, we started with the Top-in A90 and Cyan 2, the lower tier system at CMA. I also tested with the IDAC and the Cayin HA2A at the back of the studio over there, where tubes were concerned. And then we come to the Summit tier desk here. For the maximum performance of these headphones, to see what it's capable of, we use the WA33 JPS Elite here. With all of these tubes you can see scrolling down the screen, they have been pushed to their absolute limits. We also tested with the PS Vane Horizon tubes that were sent to us from PS Vane. I really do appreciate it for the testing. The transport has been the Ideon server here, and the DAC has been the Ideon Audio Meta 2024 that's just come back in after its upgrade and surgery. For the reclocker and time alignment and filtering, we have used the Ideon Audio Time. This system, with thanks to G-Point for providing the Albedo and the Stellar Mark II cables, cruises around $180,000. So that's 1, 2, 3 separate systems, from the lower to the slightly higher to the summit tier category. Then we went sideways a little bit. By my feet, because it's so freaking heavy, is the Amp & Sound Redoctober XL for the warmer, lusher sound characteristics, the opposite end of the spectrum to the 33 JPS Elite, and also the Soul KT170HA from Cayin. Thank you so much for sending that unit in for assessment. All of these reviews will be on the channel if they've been completed and released. Otherwise, they'll be on Patreon. And if you want to get those reviews before anyone else too, consider joining the Ambush of Tigers Patreon page. All the information will be down below. All of the support goes towards running the channel, getting the videos edited and out to you as soon as possible. So that's the rundown of the equipment. Software-wise, we predominantly use Audiovana or Roon, Tidal as the streaming service, and Apple Music system-wide with Max. With that, shall we jump onto the sound? Because there is some contention in our community in regards to this headphone. Some people say it's the second coming of Jesus Christ. Other people say otherwise. But I am here to tell you what is actually happening down the middle. We'll take both aspects of this story and discover why the reasons might be the way they are. First of all, let's get a reference system, basic sound characteristics of the Immanis. So for this, I'm going to take the Meta 2024 and WooAudio's WA33 JPS Elite. This is the most reference sounding system we have here at CMA, quote unquote neutral, to get the best out of these headphones, to see what they're capable of. The Immanis can do things that no other headphones can in certain areas. And I'm talking about the Warwickacoustics Aperio, the HE1 Orpheus, the Valkyria, and the Shangri-La Senior. Its resolution is such that it surpasses HE1 Orpheus, and I think it goes toe to toe, and in certain areas surpasses the Warwickacoustics Aperio on this flagship system here. Does it beat the Shangri-La Senior for resolution? We will discuss that in the sound comparison section. You will be able to jump around, but I do recommend, if you're interested in this review, to actually watch the video in order. The Immanis has the biggest sounding stage this side of Shangri-La Senior. Shangri-La Senior is at the top for me. It has the biggest sounding stage. But where Immanis takes the biscuit is with the stage, which is about 5% behind Shangri-La Senior, is the ability to deliver bass, tonal density, weight. It's the most speaker-like presentation of any headphone on the market. Previously, this accolade was given to the Warwickacoustics Aperio by CMA. It has some of the most boundless drivers, widest frequency of any headphone. And now Immanis has come along and taken that to the next step. This headphone is quite springy like this actually. So it does manage to really kind of contour to the shape of the face and the head. And I think this is half the reason why it's so freaking comfortable. To be honest with you, I actually really like this stand. Very, very easy to take the headphones off and put the headphones back on. It's pretty elegant. I like that design, mitigating all of these stands you see around me. Big stage. Every element of sound has room to breathe. So you have the singer here. She does, depending on the right system, or he can come right forward, right up to your face if necessary, and go all the way back. Elements of sound in the distance are vivid, just as clear, just as present, just as resolving as every element of sound in front of you like this. It can go from a big open wide arena to an intimate setting where the song was recorded or how it was recorded and presented as. I would consider the frequency response as close to the Abyss AB1266TC as of anything else I've ever heard. It has that sort of presentation where the bass is very, very voluminous, very big, very authoritative, digs very low, mid bass is extremely punchy, attacks like speakers do. You almost feel as though you're feeling the vibration and the weight of the mid bass in your chest rather than around your skull. It has the tendency to make your skull vibrate around 20 Hz or 18 Hz. It goes very low, and not only does it go low, but it manages to sustain it on the WA33JPS Elite and retain the resolution and vivivity and maintain support for the treble region and the mid-range without it impeaching any of that characteristics. It gets to the point on this setup where the frequency response is not a question anymore. It's a live presentation of actual music. You think of real instruments. You don't really think of the context of bass, mids, and treble. That seems very arbitrary. That seems very lower category in comparison. For electronic music, the Immanis is one of the most engaging, best performers I've come across. Previously, I gave this title to the Abyss AB1266TC. This takes that. I actually did a side-by-side testing on the same system. You get more sub-bass, more weight, much bigger size, far more vivid elements of sound across the stage. Transience, resolution and speed is the same as an electrostatic. It's an extremely quick driver, extremely resolving driver, and fundamentally very, very detailed. Where are some of the gripes where electronic music is concerned for this? It has a tendency to highlight badly mastered songs very, very well, so that you immediately know the music you're listening to. For example, a large variety of the Monster Cat tracks are not mixed very well. They sound shrill, very peaky, and very aggressive. It's immediately apparent, and yes, it's still enjoyable to listen to, but it's like going into a beautiful garden and seeing a dog turd right in the middle. You will be able to see it, it's highlighted in the background, the grass is reflecting it, you can't avoid it, and you might step in it. Unfortunately, if you're listening to black metal, if you're listening to very badly mixed pop tracks, you're not going to have a good time with it. But listening to bands like Go-Go Penguin, Infected Mushroom, very well mastered tracks, it's one of the most mesmerizing experiences I've had, and I've pretty much done reviews of all the summit tier stuff here at CMA. When you go back down to Susvaras or Susvara Unveiled or Stealth, they feel like headphones. You miss out on the speaker presentation. Okay, that's the summit tier system. Let's talk about some of the lower end categories and see what happens and where the problems arise. This headphone is extremely synergy dependent. On the Cayin Soul 170HA, it had absolutely no sub-bass. I think that unit is current limited. Good punch in the mid-bass, good detail, and then the treble region around 6 to 8 kilohertz was very spiky on every genre period. The frequency response 12K and above was very, very, very prominent, very sharp, very highlighted, and that is where frequency response did play a role, where you could actually hear what was happening and it felt jarring. And my theory is it just doesn't have enough current, though this should be converting the voltage to the current was not good enough. On that amp, it was tolerable, but only for short durations for me. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, using the Meta 2024 DAC with the amp and sound Redoctober XL, thank you Justin for sending that unit all the way across the pond. We really do appreciate it. That review will be coming soon. This is where real music shines with the Immanis. Listening to Paul Weller, listening to Hans Zimmer, listening to Michael Jackson, listening to Billie Eilish, listening to Adele. This is where frequency response disappears. This is where this headphone, with a touch of warmth, but true technicality of high-end products, truly shines. This is the category where this headphone goes beyond HE1 Orpheus. It's highly engaging, very texturally rich, very tactile. Stage comes in a little bit more. Between 33 and Redoctober XL, you get more of a holographic stage around you, so around your head like this. But it's not as vast and huge as the 33 is. Listening to Billie Eilish, you, her, and the piano, it's like she's singing directly to you. There aren't any discrepancies in the frequency of the mid-range, of the low mids, mid-mids, and the upper mids. When hitting those high notes, they do not come across shrill. They do not come across as if they've been digitally reproduced back to analog. It feels as though you are present in the moment. You are there during the event. Listening to Adele bellowing and being very angry and very upset about whatever she's gone through, you get every nuance of emotion. You get the timbral information of her voice. You get the emotion coming across in the most natural way I have ever heard. This headphone will sound like God tier, or it will sound like Satan tier, depending on the system you put it on. You cannot buy the headphone and just go, yeah, whatever, I've got good enough amp, good enough DAC, it'll be fine. I do highly recommend auditioning and seeing if the dealer has your equipment to make sure the tonality and the balance suits you. You need to build your system around the Immanis. I think some systems do it justice and other systems don't. It will highlight the problems of the system. But if you do, and if you are lucky enough to test it with the equipment where it's synergized and works well, like this incredible JPS 33 Elite from HoloAudio, with a Rockner Wave Dream signature, or Ideon Absolute, or Meta 2024, or Poseidon, or Lampezator Horizon, because this is a summit tier headphone. Every component you add onto the system will showcase and be highlighted. You will be building a system around the same price as an Aperio. Easy for this system. Yes, other systems can do it justice too. It's fine. You're never gonna hear the full potential. So let me talk about the downgrades. What happens when we go across to the other side of the studio, to the Top-in A90, Cyan 2, HA2A, and IDAC. Let's begin. I previously mentioned that this headphone can do things no other headphone can, and that is the limitless boundaries of stage, where not only do you get the space for sounds to be comfortable in, but you get the tonal density and weight and impact along with that, so that even if something's far away in the distance over there, it still has the weight and authority and moves enough air to hit you in the face in your mind's eye. And not only that, but to be fooled by the size of instruments within the stage itself. The elements of sound being able to be adaptable to the recording they were placed in and recorded by specific pickups of specific microphones, and the size of the instrument itself is revealed most clearly. We've talked about Immanis on some of the world's best setups, but what happens if you have a moderate setup? Could you grow with these headphones? What happens if you put it on a Top-in A90 here, you put it on a Cyan 2, HA2A, IDAC? It's not the same headphone. frequency response would indicate that frequency response doesn't change of a headphone amplifier to amplifier. There is so much more at work here than the basic measurements that these boys in the measuring groups throw around. That is just almost laughable. It's not even A/B worthy, it's immediately apparent. Yes, you can get away with it, but it sounds marginally better than a Hifiman Aria. You'll get more performance out of an Aria Organic on a setup like this than you do out of an Immanis. An Immanis is not designed for these low-end products. Not just by saying, oh yeah, this delivers that much power, so therefore it's going to be okay. Because yeah, A90 drives it perfectly fine, surprisingly so. In fact, I think it drove it a little bit better than the Soul KT170, and I have no idea why. Maybe better delivery of current, but seeing as it's got a switch mode power supply in it, and the Soul has those big beefy transformers, it's debatable. You can get away with it, it's fine. But why on earth would you spend 10 grand on a headphone for a 2K setup, a 1.5K setup even? You can get much better results with a headphone that will cost you $1,000. The difference between the two is 1 or 2%, if that. Stage shrinks a lot, yet it's still very vibrant and vivid. Holographic images are all around you, but you lose all semblance of reality. You lose all semblance of what this headphone is capable of. You lose the ability to lose yourself within the music. You will say things like, this is 5% better than an Aria. Why did I pay 10 times the amount for it? It's because it downgrades the headphones by 70%, if not more. You are not hearing what it's capable of. It's not even the equivalent of saying, I'm taking my Ferrari to the local shops rather than on the track. It's not even that. At least you know then you are sitting in a Ferrari. But testing on a setup like this will just indicate that the headphone is like a basic headphone, 1 or 2% better and 10 times the price. And this is where the misinformation happens. Headphones such as these require true summit tier equipment. And when you have that, it has the capability of doing things no other headphone is capable of as of 2024 in November right now. It sounds like speakers. It's boundless, it's free, it's vivid, and quite honestly, it's very difficult to go back. So in conclusion, should you buy the Immanis? The Immanis is an investment, not only in the headphones themselves, but in the equipment you will have to power it well. If you want full use of the headphones, you're going to be investing. It's a nice headphone. It does things no other headphone can, but there are other good headphones too. At much lower prices, at much lower entry points for the setups. But if you want nothing but the best for resolution, for bass, for speed, for stage, and you want all of it, and you are in a comfortable position in your life to be able to build a system around it, it's definitely one of the best headphones, if not the best headphone we have in hi-fi right now. And the tonality of it can be changed by you with the right chain you put on it. I would like to extend a massive shout out to Danny again for sending this unit for review and assessment. I really do appreciate it. And if you like reviews such as these, consider joining Patreon, where all of your support goes towards helping run the channel, film our projects, test our products, and most importantly, ship these freaking things back and forth. It's so expensive. Otherwise, your like, your share, and a comment down below is all I require from you. Let me know what your experience of Immanis has been, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna vary very wildly. I can't wait to chat to you in the comment section. See you down there shortly.